Good evening, I'm back. Hope you enjoyed that bit of subtle product placement there. So, I have a short story for you today. I know it's been a while since I came up with an actual genuine random word short story, but here is one. And it's story number 155. So we're getting closer to 200 gradually. There we go, there's a clock that tells me what time it is. This is, as ever, based on random words, and those random words are and the story is called Willoughby. Running along the beach was usually a relaxing experience for Karen, an opportunity to breathe in the salty air, watch the waves crashing over the concrete lip of the tide pool in which nobody swam, and shake off the anxieties that crowded her increasingly unsettling dreams. As she ran, Karen would focus on the sand yielding to each footfall. She'd concentrate on landing on the balls of her feet, as Jez had once shown her, although Jez was running other trails these days. Having moved to Margate just 3 months after the breakup and only 5 weeks ago, Karen had accepted she had a choice of exactly 2 directions to run if she wanted to avoid pavements and traffic lights. West, around the abutments and chalky protrusions to St Mildred's Bay and Minns Bay, or south past the popular Walpole tide pool to the scary sci-fi structure that was a wastewater pumping station. She had made a note to self to swim nowhere near it. Both routes had their commendations. To the west lay plentiful beaches, especially when she got up early enough for a low tide, plus the late afternoon sun on her face when she didn't. The southern route took in a Tracy Emin neon sign, "I have always loved you," and the iron Anthony Gormley figure forever staring impassively towards the horizon, and, she supposed, France. Karen had secretly nicknamed this half-submerged naked figure Duncan, after the bald British swimmer Duncan Goodhue. She'd sometimes even offered a timid wave as she passed, daft as that felt. A lifelong introvert, Karen had so far made only a handful of acquaintances, apart from her bestie Maeve, who owned the gallery where Karen worked, timidly trying, and mostly failing, to sell giant abstract canvases and inscrutable blobs of congealed resin that passed for sculptures. She'd added Duncan to her list of virtual friends, and also to her nightly prayers, alongside her 2 sisters and ailing mum. If God existed, and Karen had never been entirely sure he did, he must surely have a sense of humour. How else could you explain the giraffe, a patently ridiculous animal? Karen's criteria for friendship weren't exacting. Candidates had to be vaguely intelligent, available, and ideally not an arsehole or psychopath. If they enjoyed running, they'd gain an imaginary gold star. Having finally emerged from the truculent cocoon of rejection and withdrawal after Jez had gone to build a new life in Vancouver, Karen was now ready for a new boyfriend. She was 38, not unattractive, fit and healthy. Karen had all her own teeth, and a few other people's. Not really. That was just a dumb joke she used to break the ice and test potential partners. If they laughed, even politely or nervously, they were all right. Jez had guffawed. Karen had never seen anyone guffaw before, but that was the only word that fitted his bizarre approximation of laughter. But there would be no more guffawing. Karen had to push such painfully delicious memories behind her. Actually, that was why she loved running so much. Running is a continuous process of putting things behind you, particularly on trail races, which Karen occasionally entered and then forgot about, and inevitably struggled through, undertrained and drained of energy by halfway. She'd survived the last few miles of a trail marathon by saying to herself, "Well, that's the last time I'll see that tree," or "I'll never climb that chalk cliff again." I may never have a child. Where did that thought come from? Why was her mind trying to sabotage her precious 7 a.m. calm? While Karen had reiterated her reason for moving to the coast, usual factors, London prices, sea air, community, the intrusive thought had broken through like a shark tearing through a lilo. So what? Lots of people don't have children and are perfectly happy. I have at least 4 years before I have to worry, because my sister had hers at 42 without any complications at all. If it happens, it happens. If not... A small yappy dog shattered Karen's self-destructive thought cycle. A scruffy off-white Scotty dog bounding towards her across the sand as she rounded the barnacled groin at St Mildred's Bay. The concrete protrusion narrowed the beach here. Even at low tide you had to edge around the rocks and seaweed, jump tide pools and watch your step. She had chosen just the wrong moment to speed up. The dog had appeared, owner no doubt somewhere beyond, and was clearly interpreting Karen's yellow and blue lycra-clad form as an attacker. The little ones could be the most vicious, Karen had discovered in her 9 running years of dodging errant pets. She knew to slow down and walk, demonstrating no threat. As Karen did so, and the dog continued its trajectory towards her ankles, an owner appeared. A youngish, tall and slender Asian man in an immaculate long black woolen coat. Even in this fearful moment, a spare part of Karen's consciousness decided he was handsome. Possibly gay though, far too well dressed. "Oh, don't worry, he doesn't bite!" It was inevitable, really. With perfect comic timing, the White Avenger sank its fangs into Karen's left calf, while the man, momentarily dumbfounded, gulped in shock. Karen cursed and shook the creature free as the man bellowed and launched himself at his dog, lead in hand. The animal, sensing danger, bolted away to sniff at some seaweed. "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. He didn't really bite you, did he?" His voice held an impressive blend of aghast embarrassment and hope, both emotions mirrored in Karen's thumping chest. She really ought to be furious, indignant, possibly litigious. She felt none of those things. Karen felt shame. He did, actually. Just a minute, really. The man looked like she'd accused him of murder. What do you do in this situation? What is the protocol? I'm a doctor. Let me see. I'm so sorry." Good call. Practical. "I'm Anish, by the way," the young man said as he crouched at Karen's feet while she leaned against the fragrant, knobbly concrete wall. Without even asking, he gently rolled up the lower third of her legging, revealing her calf. Karen felt a weirdly erotic thrill. She hadn't been touched by a single human for weeks. She felt like the heroine of a Victorian romance, caught washing her feet in a sylvan glade. "Willoughby, you little shit!" Anish suddenly yelled at his pet, while the latter ignored him and concentrated on trying to tug something luminous and green out of the bladder rack. Willoughby? Questions would have to be asked. Honestly, he's never done anything like that before. Christ, he's broken the skin. Really? Just a wee bit. When did you last have a tetanus jab? Around the Millennium? Well, that was weirdly specific and made her sound ancient. Brilliant. Look, my car's parked by the cafe. I can drive you to the walk-in centre where I work and get you a booster jab. Anish's eyes were beautifully clear and dark brown and wide with pleading. He needed to help her. And his use of "we" had suggested he was Scottish, which for some reason put Karen at ease. She sensed no danger. She had always liked the Scots. Sure, probably a good idea. I'll put Willoughby on the lead. Honestly, he's never bitten anyone ever. I'll tie him up in the back. Don't worry, I like dogs. I'm sure he was only trying to protect you. They're territorial creatures. She was basically parroting Jez, repeating the platitudes he'd offered her when they first started running together, issuing the running club long runs for their own private explorations of their North London neighbourhood and one another. Call him over. Feigning bravery, Karen crouched, holding her arms out towards her four-legged attacker. Are you sure? Anish asked, with a mildly perplexed frown. I'll put him on the lead. Anish looked over to his pet, managing to tug the animal away from the detergent bottle Willoughby had formed a fascination for. Anish had excellent but inappropriate shoes, Karen thought, as he attached Willoughby and brought him over on a short lead. Willoughby looked like he'd entirely forgotten his rage, and also his victim, as he crept over and sniffed around her legs. Karen felt her heart thumping powerfully beneath her ribs. This is crazy, she thought. Shouldn't I be bellowing at this man and his hopelessly untrained animal? Am I letting down all runners? Willoughby was sniffing at her wound now, and Anish pulled him away. Does he even remember he did that? Karen wondered. He's not at all bothered by me, is he? I guess not, Anish said. He acted on instinct. Karen's instinct surprised her. She reached out and ruffled her hands through Willoughby's wiry fur, tickling him behind his pointy ears. The dog panted at her, happily. It was a warning, Karen said. Be nice to my human, or else. There was a momentary hiatus, and Anish looked longingly towards his parked vehicle. I guess we should be off, Karen suggested, as Anish turned back with an ambiguous smile. Are you okay to walk? Sure, she laughed. I can't even feel it. It wasn't true. There was a persistent throbbing below her knee. Microbes were invading her bloodstream. You're a runner, Anish said as they walked towards a set of stone steps exiting the sand, made of stern stuff. Karen nodded, hesitated, then went for it. I'm fighting fit. Plus, I have all my own teeth. And several other people's. Karen flashed him a deadpan look, head down, eyes wide, to accompany the joke. Painful milliseconds passed. Then Anish's mouth widened into a nervous giggle, unself-conscious and unforced. It was almost musical. Although it shouldn't matter at all, it didn't hurt that Anish owned a mid-range Audi, whose leatherette seat gently hissed as it accepted its passenger's weight. She glanced over at Anish's hands on the wheel, no wedding ring, nor evidence of one having been removed. As the engine purred into life, Karen finished clicking her seatbelt into place. She made eye contact with them, her mauler, who sat attentively on a folded blanket on the back seat. Thank you, she mouthed. Willoughby panted back at her. She half expected him to wink. There you go. So that it's kind of based on sort of my own experiences of dodging various dogs over the years, and of the time when I was a postman and I was bitten by a small yappy dog, and the owner did actually shout that exact phrase, "Don't worry, he doesn't butt." And then the dog clamped its jaws onto my calf, or thigh actually. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that little story, and if you did, like it, make a comment, share it, let me know you're there, because I don't know why I'm doing this otherwise, and follow me, subscribe, and I will be back again, no doubt, very soon. I'm going to get at least to 200. I have to. Bye for now.